It's the man Chris Yule in a room full of losing ass traders. He can tell that he's not a fool, got that cool, he ain't in the big risks. He's a realist, he don't buy the dip, he's not just buying any stock. He's making outlier moves, he's picking up big tons. First he shows them trend, template 3.0. He shows them trends, the 10, 20, 50 EMA. Then he shows them outlier 9. Then he shows them how to make money from strong sell to strong buy. He shows them how to trade twice a week, live from the outlier trading room. Don't buy the dip, don't get monkey hammered, just like all those other losers. He knows how to make the money. He shows you the 10, 20, 50 EMA. He shows you the trend template 3.0. He shows you the outlier 9. He shows you the risk first. Watch Chris Yule trade live from the outlier trading room. Don't buy the dip, don't get monkey hammered, just like all those other losers. He knows how to make the money. He shows you the 10, 20, 50 EMA. He shows you the trend template 3.0. He shows you the outlier 9. He shows you the risk first. Watch Chris Yule trade live from the outlier trading room.
Good afternoon, Outliers. Nearly forgot about my microphone. How y'all doing today? Happy Monday. Hope your week is off to a great start. I am happy to see everybody here. Like Mikey Mike and Golden Oldie and Theo, it is good to see everybody. Like Rui, good to see you here. Good afternoon from LA. Only trends matter. That's right. Good to see you. Good to see you. Jean-Louis here. Pred is here. Alana is here. Shane is here. Nate's here. How's it going, everybody? Good to see you all. Question from the chat I saw earlier. I guess it was more of a statement. Quote from a friend / money learning mentor of mine by Dustin says, be the dumbest person in the room, but have the confidence to ask questions. Dustin also says, it also has to do with surrounding yourself with people who have lofty goals. I don't know, man. I don't think it's... I heard a quote similar to that. And it said, if you are the smartest person in the room, you're in the wrong room. I mean, think about it in other terms, right? If you're the most wealthy person in that room, you're in the wrong room, because you can always learn something from someone else. Like Mark and Mahesh, I have learned tremendous amounts from the co-founders of OVTLYR, Mark and Mahesh. I'm just the dancing monkey who gets to hang out with you guys. It is their incredible brain skills and coding skills that have created OVTLYR. And then my slightly better than average, I don't want to get too ahead of myself, slightly better than average trading skills that figured out how to trade with the OVTLYR data, right? So we all have our skill sets. And Mark is like resident math nerd is what he calls himself. And Mahesh is just like ultra amazing on coding and running a team of coders. And I can just trade. That's just my jam. Actually, through Steve Burns. So Shane asked, how to meet the first market wizard. So this morning, we watched a video from Jason Shapiro, one of the market wizards that I actually worked with. Great video, by the way. Be sure you catch the replay, which will go live right after this. Steve Burns, I forget who introduced me to. I think it was Tom Basso. And then I kind of just like use that to leverage things going forward, right? Like, hey, I had a chance to work with Tom Basso. No, it was I know it for a fact it was Minervini but I don't remember how I got to work with Minervini. I swear Steve Burns must have introduced us. For those of you who don't know, Steve Burns is the author of many, many, many trading books, and also like a giant Twitter following. I think he has, last I checked, like 400, 500,000 Twitter followers. So he's quite the movement over on Twitter. But yeah, Steve changed my entire life. I'm so grateful for Steve, but beyond everything, you have no idea. Nate says, how close that tornado come to you last night? My wife was literally in our under the stairs closet with the puppy. Yes, we were also in our Harry Potter closet, taking shelter last night. It didn't come all that close to us, but too close for comfort. I'll put it that way. Way too close for comfort. But you know what? That's springtime in Texas. Random dancing monkey. That would be my job, right? Let's see. Oh, Bender. We figured out the order block issue. Bottom right corner by time, the adjust button on or off. Wow. Look at that. So what's the answer? So in the Discord, there was a lot of chatter going on about the order blocks, outlier blocks inside. Hang on, I'm not sharing my screen yet, am I? There's a lot of chatter about the outlier blocks, order blocks over in our Discord. So what is the answer? Is it to have the adjust button on or the adjust button off? I don't know the answer. Please tell me in the chat. I'm looking for it in the chat right now. Emilio says, when does the market breadth get updated? Everything gets updated overnight. So I think it's around 10 p.m. West Coast time when all the updates go through. Dustin says, tornadoes are so weird. I had no heavy winds in North Fort Worth. Dude, I remember when I was a kid, growing up out in the country, and there was a tornado that came by. Of course, we went to our storm shelter at that time, but the next morning we went out, and on my way to school was the path of the tornado. And it was so interesting to me. This was such an eye-opener to me, because as a child, I thought that tornadoes were this like enormous thing that just like wrecks everything in its path for miles and miles and miles. But no. It was like this field, right? This farmer's field, and it was like a bullet, right? It probably wasn't 25 yards wide, all the way diagonal across the field. Unfortunately, there were like two houses right in the way of it, and just continued on. And I was like, holy cow, that is way smaller than I expected. It is absolutely a bullet, right? It is this wide in comparison to, you know, the world. And so that really gave me a lot of comfort. And that's why I don't really stress, because the likelihood of being hit by something this wide is pretty small. But still scary nonetheless. But Shane says, I found a friend who travels the country installing tornado-proof covers for your windows that he has patent on. That's cool. You probably do really well in this area. Susan says, I love the afternoon shows. I love the afternoon shows because Susan gets to watch them. That's what makes them better. Everybody pay respects to Susan in the chat. Everybody say Susan in the chat to say respects to Susan. She makes this show worth watching. I love you, Susan. That's my mom's name, by the way. That's why I love you so much. Okay, JJ says, on an adjusted chart, the stock price on a historical date will be shown as the current closing price minus all dividends paid since then. Okay, so do we use that or do we not use that? Dividend subtractions are typically made on a percentage rather than dollar basis to present historical prices from showing as negative values. Okay. Everybody's saying hi to Susan. Hashtag Susan. I love it. Hang on. Gotta get through this. I'm trying to figure out, are we turning adjusting on or off? That actually is exactly what I want to know right now. Wild Stumpy Norwood says, people break out by tornadoes, but go out in lightning, and more people die from lightning a lot more. Makes total sense to me. Yeah, for sure. Adjust off. Okay, that's what I want to know. Adjust off. So I need to make a change on my screen then, don't I? So tell me if I do this right. Adjust off. And it's done. Let's go to NTR. This is the one that was causing all the issues. Look at that. That changed everything, didn't it? Okay, I actually need to go through my plan real quick. That changed everything. Ah! Look at what a difference that makes. Okay, so we want adjust off. Great to know. Oh, this makes a difference on a lot of stuff, doesn't it? Okay, let me see if this changes anything. I would trade Costco, except the contracts are like $4,500 or something each. It was unbelievable. No, not $4,500. I can't even remember how much. It was like the most expensive contract I'd seen in ages, maybe ever. I was like, yeah, I'm not trading that for the 80 delta. What about the ones we traded last week? So let's go through what we traded last week. Like Hood. I want to know real quick before we jump into other stuff, what difference it would have made on the other trades we took last week. Like Hood. Okay, so Datadog. All right, let's go to GM. Okay, looking good. Then there was Etsy, which we got out of Etsy when it created that order block there. Okay, it looks, that was the first one we come across that had this issue before, so I guess it's pretty limited. It was NTR. Cost is so freaking expensive. Yeah, no joke. Okay, so to be 100% perfectly clear, so everybody's following along, because Paul, I was also confused as well. We are turning off adjustment down here. If you have trading view, there's a setting. See my new little yellow cursor thing that follows me around? It even turns blue when I click it. Turn off the setting that says adjust. Turn off the setting that says adjust. Oh, Susan. Okay, just catching up on the chat. Deep thought. Literally the second smartest man I know says non-adjusted values is what we're going to use. Okay, cool. Susans unite. Susans unite. Soccer season's over, by the way. Oh my gosh. This was the first season I ever did any sort of coaching with my son's team. And it was the most fulfilling, most rewarding, most wonderful experience I ever had, hands down. But above everything, it was such a joyous affair to be a part of my son's team. Granted, we only won like 1 or 2 games. But it wasn't anything about that. It was about being there with him, being there with his friends, and then watching them develop their skills week after week after week, because I could literally see every single week them getting better and better and better. And man, the internal fulfillment that I got from that, like I cannot express to you what a difference that made. What a difference that made. And my son, his name's Elliot, he's 10. Elliot used to be like ultra timid on the field. And this year, dude was like throwing shoulders, getting in people's way. And I was like, dude, this is epic. That's exactly what I want you to do. And I'm so proud of you. Yeah. What? Oh. And now I'm sad because soccer's over. So what kind of coach am I? I'm the coach that I never had, but I always wanted, which was one that was super supportive, super kind, always yelling like, great job, even when they screw up royally. Hey, great job. It's all right. Just do this next time. Right. Whereas all the coaches I had, because I played high school football in Texas, which you could imagine is super competitive. They were like mean, horrible, just like, ugh. I was the opposite. Ryan says he helped coach his daughter's softball team 1 year. Best experience of his life. Yeah. And Senior Wahoo says, your kids will remember you being there forever. Just, man, just this hits me right in the feels. But we're going to watch this video. It's called, If I Wanted to Get Ridiculously Rich in 1 Year, I Would Do This, from Professor G. Then we need to look at the SMCI, that trade that I have on right now. And I don't think we're putting on any new trades, but we have quite a bit to do today. So let's watch this video.
Most people can build up a very sizable retirement or nest egg and by 65 or 70 years old become a millionaire. But if you want to do it much, much faster, you need to do what I've done and what many of my high net worth clients did early in their life. No matter how old you are or what skills you have, you can do the things that I'm going to talk about in this video and become a millionaire very, very quickly. Let's get right to it. I
do want to point this out before he gets too deep. I watched this video from a channel called Myron Golden. Really, really cool guy. I like Myron Golden a lot. In fact, I dress this way because I was watching his videos and I was like, that is a really comfortable yet classy way to dress. And he dresses like this in all his videos. So that's where I got this from. Now, Myron Golden talks about you want to get rich as fast as humanly possible. And I completely agree with that. And it sounds so scammy. It sounds so made up. It sounds so like, oh, buy my $9.97 course and I'm going to show you how to get rich as fast as possible. But in reality, you got to think about it, right? We may have 75, 80, 85, maybe if we're lucky, 100 years on earth, right? And if it takes us 85 years to get, quote, rich, and everybody's standard of rich is different. If it takes us 80 years to get rich, how long do we get to enjoy that? My perspective is you need to get rich as fast as humanly possible. That way you can enjoy it, your children can enjoy it, your parents can enjoy it, and you can enjoy serving your family, friends, and everyone around you, right? That's how I view it. That's how I love it. I love being able to treat the people that I love. It is such a joy in my life to be able to buy somebody something unexpected. Maybe it's just a meal because I can afford to. So I want to say, get as rich as you possibly can, as fast as you possibly can. And I know I sound like the worst YouTube kind of slime ball scammers there possibly are, but your life gets infinitely more better when money is not something you have to worry about anymore. And you can use that money to serve others. Just putting that out there.
First thing that you need to do is decide if you're serious. I'm not going to sugarcoat it. There's a reason why most people are not millionaires. It's because it's very tough to do unless you were just born into a very rich family or given the money in some other way. Even people who make multiple hundreds of thousands of dollars per year have trouble saving most of that, and it all comes down to mindset. You're not just going to happen upon $1 million this year. You need to make a pact with yourself right now that you're going to reach this status relentlessly, and that you're going to do whatever you need to do to make it happen. When I was 14 or 15 years old, my dad asked me what I was interested in doing for a career or possibly studying in college. And I told him something possibly in business, probably entrepreneurship, maybe even finance, because I really liked math and numbers at that point. He got me a couple of books like Rich Dad, Poor Dad by Robert Kiyosaki, How to Swim with Sharks Without Being Eaten Alive by Harvey Mackay, and The Millionaire Next Door by Thomas Stanley. Specifically, that last one is all about the traits and routines of wealthy people and makes the case that wealth is more likely the outcome of prudent spending and saving habits than high income or inherited wealth.
I actually have this book and I've never read it. I'll be very honest with you. I've had this on the shelf for 15 years probably, and I've never read it because honestly, I thought it was like, oh, just, time in the market beats timing the market, etc. So now I'm gonna have to pick that up and read it now. Thanks, Professor G. In fact, Professor G, he was the one who recommended the market cycle book too. Yeah, look at that, smart people.
And the first two books taught me more on business principles and understanding the difference between an asset versus a liability. All three of these books gave me the pillars to be able to start building out the framework for how to get rich much faster than most. But none of the things that I learned in those books or that you're going to learn watching videos or reading blogs matters if you don't actually start to make some real changes, put it into action, and do whatever is necessary to get you to your goal. You can't kind of do this, you need to go all in. So once you've decided to fully take the plunge and leave excuses at the door, now you can get started for real. The big mistake that a lot of people do here is they think that to become a millionaire, the only thing that you need to do, or the most important even thing to do, is to figure out what to invest in. While that's a big part of it eventually, that's not what's going to get you there today. I'm going to go over exactly what to invest in later in this video, but you need to understand that this is not your biggest problem right now. The average salary in the United States is around $55,000 to $65,000 per year. Obviously, it's higher in some states and lower in some states based off of cost of living. And then this annual study found that 59% of Americans in 2025 don't have enough savings to cover an unexpected $1,000 emergency expense. This means that most people are not able to save much, if any, of their paycheck. And so if savings is close to nothing, investing is probably nothing. Who cares if you found the absolute best ETF in the entire world and it gets you something like a crazy 20% appreciation? Let's say you have $1,000 to invest, 20% of that is $200. So for the year, you made $200. That's not getting you to millionaire status anytime soon. The way that you will start and get that ETF to actually work for you is if you can consistently add to it. Now, 20% appreciation is absolutely crazy for any period of time. There are some ETFs that have done that for a year or two, maybe even 3 in a row. But usually something above 15% is kind of crazy. QQQ is one of the best and most consistently solid growth ETFs out there. And since 1985, the NASDAQ 100 has produced an annualized return of 14.07%, not including dividends.
Hold tight. Before you get too excited, I think Nico's entirely right. It's coming just all cost average on ETFs. We're going to zoom out here on Qs for a moment to talk about the whole lost decade on the Qs. Hold tight. I think I may have to go to a different scale. Let me go to the monthly scale. Oh my gosh. How far did I zoom out? Good gravy. There we go. Yeah. Even though it has returned, according to him, 14 point whatever percent per year on average, there was a point from February of 2000 until January of 2017. It took 17 years for this to get back to break even. Okay. You don't have to hold it during that time, right? You want to be looking for stocks that are crashing up, not investing in stocks as they crash down, because in all honesty, we don't know how far they will crash down and if they will ever recover. So I don't know. I may not like this video. I was hoping I would, but I don't know.
So let me show you what I mean, and then I think that you're going to be more on board with what I'm trying to say right here. $100 per month invested into something like QQQ that gets an insane 14% per year for 30 years would get you to $428,144. Not too shabby from just...
What the hell is this? 20, 35, 45, 55? What is this?
Investing $100 per month. So let's say you find a way to find an extra $900 per month though. Yes, I know that's a lot of money to a lot of people, but just stick with me. At $1,000 per month invested into QQQ or something that would appreciate at 14% on average for 30 years, that would end up being $4,281,442. Both of those got that insane 14% per year for 30 years, but one obviously grew much, much more into life-changing amounts.
But hang on.
Per year for 30 years, but one...
Imagine you could... This sounds crazy. What if you could have a strategy that allows you to be in while the market's going up, right? Like right here. Not in when it's going sideways and not in when it's going down. And then when it starts going back up again, you compound it. So you've got this going up and this going up. You avoid it when it's going down. And then you do this part here going up. And you avoid it going down. And then you do this part right here when it's going up. And you avoid it when it's going down. Imagine if you could do that. That 4 million probably turns into like several extra zeros if you do it that way. Right? This is what we are attempting to do with trading. And it's what we can do with trading. In fact, hold tight real quick, right quick. Chris is going to pull out his 2025 results so far. The only trade I have left open is SMCI, which, where am I doing on it? How am I doing on SMCI? I might be up a smidge. Might be up a smidge, and that's fine. Right, this is what you're trying to do here. Right, when the market's going down, you can be flat. This is what I did. Receipts are on YouTube. When the market's selling off, you can be in cash. When the market starts going back up, you can be a part of it and do way better than the market. I'm telling you, this, what he's talking about is the slow way to accumulate wealth. This right here can accumulate life-changing amounts of money, but you have to sit in cash and don't F up. Life-changing amounts of money. Quickly. Very fast. The hard part is waiting for your pitch in baseball terms, right? When the market's selling off, holding out so you have no risk in the market. And when the market comes back, you get in with leveraged investments and you do some amazing baller ass moves. Receipts are on YouTube. This is how it's done. So I'm a little disappointed because this is not where I wanted the video to go, but this is different than what he's talking about. And maybe he'll come across a little bit more sense here.
Obviously grew much, much more into life-changing amounts, because while compound interest is your best friend, the way to make compound interest actually work the best for you is to get more capital into the actual fund. In order for compound interest to do its thing, you need two things. Number one is time, so you need to start right now. But number two is equally important, and that's capital.
Well, I agree with both of those points. You need to start right now, and you also need to start with something, right? Even if you wanted to be successful trading, $1,000, I mean, you can't even position size correctly because some of these trades, if you have, hang on, let's do our position size calculator real quick. And this is really important here. This is why it's important to have a decent amount of capital to start with. Right? If you have $1,000, your option size is 1 on everything. 1 on everything, right? Now, if you're wrong on one of them, right? Let's say you're wrong on Apple. and it takes you out greater than the 5% that you're willing to risk. And none of the other ones, because you just don't have a big enough size, do it that much to help you. You can't position size correctly with this. What about 10,000? Still, 10,000 is kind of tough. Your position size is still pretty limited, right? Let's go about 25,000. Now here we're getting to appropriate position sizing, right? Because some of these you need to trade bigger, right? Because if you are trading GM on the same size as you're trading Apple, because you're limited in capital, the Apple moves are going to be, what we call that, 4.5 times greater than the GM moves. And so it's going to be very, very, very difficult to position size correctly when you don't have big enough positions on the right stocks and small enough positions on the stocks that don't work. This is really important here. And listen, this may not be what you want to hear. I'll be very honest with you. It may not be what you want to hear. But when you start with smaller positions, when you start with smaller account sizes, every trade counts that much more. When you have bigger positions, bigger sizes, then those losers don't work against you as much if you position size correctly. If you position size correctly. Let's continue on here. But listen, if you did $1,000 a month, that's 2 years. In 2 years, you would have enough trading capital. In 1 year, you could have a good amount of trading capital and work with that.
But right about now is when you need to start shutting off those excuses. Don't be that person down in my comment section saying, oh, $1,000? Great, just give me $1,000 and then I'll start investing it. No, that's just taking the easy way out and giving up. Be the person that says, okay, how will I be able to get to $1,000 invested per month? As of right now, I can invest $100. How can I find an extra $900 each and every month? This was me. I knew all about investing and had all the academic background in investing and through my MBA and PhD, but I didn't quite make enough money yet, or wasn't saving enough and just needed to get to a point where I could invest more and take everything that I knew and actually put it into practice. If I wanted to be a millionaire this year and was starting from scratch, I'd shut off the excuses, I'd make myself the goal, I'd figure
that's just a cute photo. That's funny.
out what exactly to invest in, which I'll talk about in a second, and then I'd put a plan in motion to figure out how I could have an extra couple $100 to invest each month. The answer doesn't need to be anything big right away. If you have $100 right now to invest each month, from our example from before, that would turn into $428,144 in 30 years. Let's say you go out and you do a couple side jobs here and there. You wash some windows, or you do some lawn work, or you do some consulting, and now you add an extra $50 per week. Do you think that you could find $50 per week? If so, now you'd have about $300 per month to invest. $300 per month invested into QQQ, or something that would appreciate at 14% on average for 30 years, would end up being $1,284,432. Look at that. An extra $50 per week consistently invested gets you over that $1 million mark. And if your brain works like mine does, if you can find an extra $200 to make it $300 and it turned into over $1 million, how can I make that into an extra $1,000 per month? Or how can I find an extra $2,000 per month? How much would that turn into down the road? The ways that you're going to be able to find more of that money is likely not going to be at your W-2 job. But maybe it is. Maybe at your job, you have the option to do overtime whenever you'd like. And so maybe it'd be a smart move for you to take one extra overtime shift per week and throw all of that money into investing. That's going to move the financial needle so much in your life. For most, though, it's not going to come from your 9 to 5. It's going to come from your 5 to 9. What I mean by that...
That's so true. This is more what I was hoping for, right? The fact that your 9 to 5 is only going to pay you so much. And even if you get raises, even if you get promotions, even if you achieve whatever, right? You're going to be limited. You are going to be limited. There will always be some sort of ceiling over you. And it may take you 15, 20 years to achieve the next, promotion at work or whatever you're doing. However, your 5 to 9, working on your passion projects, this will change your life. I'm a perfect example of that. Let me give you some perspective here real quick. When I first started my podcast, which is now evolved in the YouTube channel and everything else, I would get up at 3 a.m, do everything I needed to do for the day on the podcast, go work a full-time job, come home, spend time with my family, and then do it all over again. 3 a.m. to make sure that I could get done what I needed, planning out my trades, planning out the channel content, planning out everything. Because I would not allow myself to not be successful. Now, years later, I would have, there is no way I would ever take that back, because that allowed me to quit my corporate job, to be a full-time trader, to be a YouTuber, and to help you out with everything that I'm doing today. But I could not have done any of it if I had only focused on my day job. If I had only focused on my day job, I'd be doing that for the rest of my life. And I knew I was beyond that. Well beyond that. And you are too.
Is what can you do either before work or after work to make some extra money? For me, I've never had just one job. One thing that I learned very, very early was that I never wanted to have any one company or any one person really to have any control over my life. Even if you work a very solid, sustainable corporate job for 20 years, if that job or that company has 4 consecutive bad quarters and they have to start cutting things, usually wages is one of their biggest expense, and so they have to do a layoff of 10, 15, 20% of their entire workforce, and maybe you get caught up in that. This has happened to thousands of people last year and this year already. The way to protect yourself is to get out ahead of that and have multiple streams of income. At any one time, I usually have at least 5 going. Right now, I have probably closer to 10. If any one of those were to dry up, I'd be sad, but not too sad. I have 9 other ones. And no type or source of income is too small. So what type could you add right now today? Drive Uber for 1 hour per day, babysit, consult on something that you know better than most people, personal train someone if you like working out, build someone a website if you're good online, start a YouTube channel or TikTok or Instagram. Nowadays is the easiest time in history to do these side gigs, so you don't have an excuse. So now you've decided to shut out the excuses, you're finding a way to bring in more money, and now you need to know how to invest it. First and foremost, make sure that you've paid off any big debt, anything that's above 6% interest rate, any type of consumer debt that isn't a mortgage. I would highly recommend that that's what you pay down first. Especially right now with the market kind of down, anything you put it in is probably going to lose for a little while. And so if you're automatically having to pay a 7, 8, 10% interest at this point, if you pay that off, it's like you're getting paid that 10% interest guaranteed. After that, make sure and have at least 1 month of living expenses in a high yield savings account. I would suggest having at least up to 3 months worth for ultimate safety. If you have both of those things done, good, now you're ready to actually start investing. I'd highly recommend maxing out a Roth IRA first and foremost, which would be
And if your employer has a employee contribution match, if you aren't maxing that out, you legitimately are giving away free money. I mean, if it's 5%, 6%, 10%, whatever, you've got to match that. You've got to match that out. And a lot of places allow you to trade in your 401k. Maybe. Right. I don't know if you'll be able to, but maybe you'll be able to. And if you can, by all means, make it happen. Listen, we are running out of time. So because of this, I'm going to jump into some comments that I saw, and then we're going to get busy. Julian says, how do you assess the quality of the trade in order to size the allocation of each trade? Well, all trades, well, first off, all stocks are bad, but all trades that I take must meet the OVTLYR 9. Now, this is something new that I'm trying today, which is the OVTLYR slingshot setup. When these are set up as part of the OVTLYR 9, you've got your market, your sector, and your stock all working together with the OVTLYR 9. Then that's when you've got the slingshot setup. I kind of like it. I know. I'm trying it out today, see if it works. Knight says, weird video. He talks about getting rich fast, and all his examples are like 30 years of investing. Yeah, great point. Dustin says, a job is only designed to pay your bills and not make you extra money. Yeah. Brian says, if it was easy, then everyone would do it. Mikey Mike says, read the 4-Hour Workweek. The 4-Hour Workweek was probably one of the most influential books in my entire life. And it sounds super, super cliche, but I'm living it now. And then I applied it when COVID happened, and I was able to do my consulting job from home in 2020. That's what I did. I used the 4-Hour Workweek every chance that I possibly could. And then earlier this year, was it January? Yeah, it was January. My boss was like, listen, you're going to have to come in the office on Tuesdays. And I just said, no, I'm not coming in. I'm not going to do it. I don't need to anymore. I got plenty of money. I got no stress. I'm not coming in the office. You're going to have to find someone else to do it. And that's when I quit. Living your life, living your best life is the most important thing you possibly can. And financial education. If this is actually Jeremy, that would be crazy. When life gives you melons, you might be dyslexic. I doubt that this is actually Jeremy, but if it is, glad you made it. Glad you made it. Okay, so let's do this. Let's shift gears and let's do this. Let's get back over to trading in the OVTLYR trading room. My name is Christopher Ewell. I've twice been awarded top 100 people in finance. I was mentored by 5 of the market wizards, the best traders of all time. I've been successfully trading since 2009, and this is where outliers like us save time, make money, and start winning with less risk together as a team. So go ahead and subscribe if you haven't already. And don't forget, tomorrow afternoon, it's another OVTLYR University lesson.
Are you ready? Let's go!
Respect is earned. Respect is never given.
All right, so don't forget, tomorrow afternoon on our afternoon live streams, we will be doing OVTLYR University. I'm going to teach you literally everything that I know in OVTLYR University. And all you have to do is show up and learn. No paywall whatsoever. Let's jump over into our member highlight, and we're going to do something new starting today. Tell me in the chat some of your success stories. Tell me in the chat some of your success stories while I pull up our Discord real quick over here and read what's in our share your big wins section. I want to hear from you in the chat. So holy moly, look at this. Carol says, I had no profit targets or expectations, but after weeks of sitting in cash, in the last month, my new trading plan with OVTLYR has brought me back incredible returns after being monkey hammer for a couple of months. I think my chart looks like this. I don't know what in the wide world of sports you did over here, Carol, but goodness gravy. Goodness gravy. You are doing something right. Outstanding. Cool Ryan was checking out Qubits today with an 8% gain. Congratulations right there. Way to go. Brian took advantage of UNH crappy news and death spiral last week. Exited with a 66% win this morning over the weekend, but he missed an 84% win. Outstanding. Congratulations, Brian. And Don says, I've been trading for several years and haven't done real well with it. I decided I need a real plan instead of going with my gut. No joke. I paid a fair amount of money to get help from professionals to create a good plan. All I got from them was confusion. Then I found OVTLYR and started studying their methods and developing my plan. After sitting in cash for about 2 months, I finally began trading at the end of April. Since then, my portfolio is up 10%. Thank you, OVTLYR. Thank you, Don. Congratulations. Okay, let's see. Marco says, I got 2 boys recently. Biggest success after struggling with the NICU stays, and all they are healthy now. That is a giant win. That is a giant win. Congratulations to you, my friend. All right, let's move on. Be sure that you share your stories in the chat. And the way that you can pay me back is just by telling everybody you know about OVTLYR, because the first rule of OVTLYR is you tell everyone about OVTLYR. Now, what is OVTLYR and how does it work? Well, old Uncle Warren used to say, be fearful when others are greedy and greedy when others are fearful. OVTLYR shows you if investors are acting irrationally fearful or greedy and by how much, allowing you to get into the stock before the OVTLYR move happens. And if you're ready to save time, make money, and start winning with less risk, it's just 3 easy steps. Number 1, head on over to OVTLYR.com, grab the annual pass for just 82 cents a day, or if you are on the monthly plan, click this one button right here to upgrade, save 64%. Step 2 is follow the OVTLYR 9. You follow the OVTLYR 9, everything gets so much easier for you. And number 3, sit back and relax because you just found the easiest way to save time, make money, and start winning with less risk. Now, my style of trading using OVTLYR is called the golden ticket trading strategy. And we need to figure out, what is the market telling us? So we'll start with the market trend and let it tell us which direction it's going. So let's go to the SPY. We'll go here in OVTLYR. Pop open the SPY. We can see right here it has a buy signal. And let's zoom in on the 3-month chart. We can see the green overlay right here tells us the trend is moving up. That's what we want to see. And we have a buy signal right now. And that tells us that the 10/20 prices over the 50, the OVTLYR trend template is bullish. And so that helps here with the trend and the signal. This is bullish and this is bullish. Now let's go look at market breadth. This has been a real point of contention with a lot of people lately. And I'm glad you guys are being very good students. You're learning a lot and you're earning a lot at the same time. Market breadth has not crossed down. Market breadth is measuring how many buy signals we have versus how many sell signals. We can see right here, actually increased in the number of buy signals. And if you can believe it today, 120 new buy signals versus 74 sell signals. So all kinds of buy signals came through. And so our market breadth is bullish. So trend, signal, breadth are all bullish. Now next, the fear and greed. This is the next section of the OVTLYR 9. Fear and greed on the sectors and on the breadth. Let's check that out. So if we look at the breadth, couple things that I noticed was that on the 10 EMA, only the materials, the staples, and real estate would fit my personal trading template for breadth. So let me show you what I mean by staples. If we zoom in here, we actually got a bullish crossover on the staples. That's exactly what we're looking for. Same thing with materials and same thing with real estate. Now, these other sectors up here that have not crossed over just yet are weakening, and that's not what we're looking for. We don't want stocks that are getting, or we don't want sectors that are getting weak. We're looking for sectors that are getting stronger with more buy signals. See how this is peaked and is starting to come back? I can imagine that having a bearish cross very soon. So of those three sectors, real estate, materials, and staples, I pulled the stocks that actually came through on there. So if you go to your screener here, you can filter down for just those sectors. Makes it super easy, right? So we could do materials, real estate, and staples. So that's going to pull through these names over here. I dropped those names into TradingView, and we can see them all lined up right here. It makes it a little bit easier. And looking at these, all we're looking for at this point here, because we know the trend is bullish, otherwise they wouldn't have pulled through on my screener. We know the signal's a buy, and we know the fear and greed is growing, because that's what I put in my screener. See what I mean? Moving up on the heat map, moving up on fear and greed, the uptrend indicator, meaning that it's already in a bullish trend. All of that is lit up already, so we don't have to stress. So the last thing to look at are the outlier blocks here on the chart. And there's quite a lot. There's quite a lot. So this one doesn't have one. This one doesn't have one for a while. EPRT is inside of one. IFF is right at one. Triple N is inside of one. NTR is not. It's got a little bit of room here, not a whole lot. SMPL is right between two of them. Costco is freaking expensive, and I won't be buying that one. EQR is inside some, and then Lin right here is right on top of one. Now, I actually went through each one of these and looked for the liquidity on them, and I didn't see any that were worth trading to me. So the only thing that I'm going to be doing today is looking to reduce risk for adding new trades. So these are my exit signals here. Feel free to take a screenshot if you want to. We're only going to be looking at SMCI as an exit point today. So SMCI up a smidge on this trade right here. You can see I got in on May 14th. It moved down, it moved up, it's moved sideways. Not really doing a whole lot right now, and that's okay. That's okay, right? I'm just looking for one of my exit strategies here because I don't have an expectation on the outcome of the trade. I don't have a profit target. I'm just going to get out when one of my exit signals is hit. So the 10 EMA, way down here, not going to happen. The half ATR from entry, my stop loss, down here, not happening today. Any outlier blocks in our way? Nope, everything looks good up here. The outlier heat map stall or profit target hit. So my profit target on the heat map was at 63. And let's go to, see if I pulled it up here already. I did. All right, SMCI, buy signal, heat map value was at 52, 56. I said I would get out. Was that right? I thought it was in the 40s. 49.93. Okay. 49.93. So my heat map value is going to be 63, which is what I wrote on the chart a couple days ago. Selling to strength at 63. So it's not there right now. It's at, is it at 58.45. So not interested in taking off that trade. Not interested in putting on any new trades. So let's do this. In order to give you the most value I possibly can, tell me some stocks you want to look at. Now, as we do this, please be sure to tell me if you're looking at it from a long perspective, like SMCI long, or maybe you're looking to short the trade, like let's say AMD short, right? Put that in the chat. I would love to take an opportunity to look at some of these for you. Chris, how you doing, Chris? Nice name. I like it. What about the healthcare sector? Let's take a look at the healthcare sector for Chris real quick. We'll pop over to the market breadth. We'll go to the 10 EMA crossover here. And healthcare is actually here. It has a bearish crossover on the market breadth. Bearish crossover on market breadth. It's close. Actually, by tomorrow, it looks like it might cross back over. This is definitely improving. And if it does tomorrow, I'll be interested, Chris. But as of today, I'm not going to predict what's going to happen. I'm just going to trade based on what's in front of me. Let's see. MJ wants to look at Uber long. Now, as you know, what I'm going to do is I'm going to pull up the outlier 9, and we're going to go through all this. So the trend signal and breadth are all bullish. So this will apply to everything. Let's go to Uber and we'll apply the same analysis to Uber. Now, remember, these are 9 itty bitty baby steps. Sounds like a lot of steps, but you can remember a 10-digit phone number. You can remember 9 itty bitty baby steps. So first, we know that the market is set up here, so we don't have to look at this again. Let's go to sector, fear and greed and breadth. And we got it right here on the page for you. And let's zoom in just a smidge here. We can see the fear and greed is growing. This is the average fear and greed for everybody in the industrial sector. So Uber is growing. That looks great. Uber's breadth has not crossed over yet. So that actually is bullish too. Now it's peaked. It's really high and it's come down a smidge, but it's still bullish to me. So this is bullish. This is bullish. Now let's look at the trend. Bullish right here with a buy signal. Outstanding. Trend signal, fear and greed. Fear and greed is growing really strong. And then lastly, is any outlier blocks on Uber? Uber looks great. Now it looks like it had one a while ago, but it's over that and it's going. It's running. So this is a great setup here. This has all 9 of the outlier 9 setup. This is what the slingshot setup looks like here. Okay. The slingshot setup is when everything is lined up for you. So Uber is still sitting on that slingshot setup right here. So Uber looks fantastic. Uber looks fantastic. Let's see. Gerald wants to look at Elf Long. That's a Jeremy stock. If real Jeremy is actually watching, let's take a look at Elf Long. Oh, look at that. I drew on this chart a while ago. So we'll leave that there. And let's go to Elf. And let's zoom in. All right, so Elf got a buy signal back here on April 24th. Let's mark that on the chart here. April 24th here. Your 10 was not quite over the 20. Price was definitely not over the 50 until the May 2nd. But since the buy signal, close to close, it's up 32%. Huge, huge, huge move here from Outlier. How do I remove just the one drawing? Hold tight. I'm still getting used to trading view. Okay, there we go. Remove that one. Cool. That's what I wanted. All right. Now let's look at the outlier 9. So this will be the same. Fear and greed and breadth on the sector. Let's look at that. So the staples sector. We had a bearish crossover for a while, but the staples sector, as I mentioned, actually is a bullish crossover today. The fear and greed was getting more greedy, then it got a bit more fearful. Now it's starting to get more greedy once again in the staple sector. So actually, this is bullish here, and this is bullish here. So your slingshot is set up 2/3 of the way so far. Let's go to the trend. Let's go to the trend of the stock. Bullish trend, bullish buy signal. Okay, okay. Fear and greed. Fear and greed continues to grow. Okay, looking good. And I don't remember any outlier blocks right there. Would you believe that? Elf is actually set up. Now it's got earnings. Keep that in mind. Earnings are always a gamble. Earnings look like it's Wednesday. So earnings coming up in a couple days. But I like to trade up to earnings. That's one of my favorite trades. And as you can see right here, at some point I must have drawn that on there. So this actually looks brilliant to me. You've got your slingshot set up for the outlier 9, the 9 itty bitty baby steps that feed the slingshot here. Your market, your sector, and your stock are all bullish to me. So isn't this easier, right? Now when you look at a stock, you can look at it from the top down. Is the market working? Is the sector working? Is the stock working? It makes things so much easier, doesn't it? Right now you're not guessing anymore. Now you're not guessing because you have all the tools right here in front of you. Let's see. Saw several people talking about McDonald's. MACD. Mike Steiner wants to look at MACD. Let's do this again for MACD. Mikey Mike asked the question, is the spread you look at on the heat map from the buy signal moving forward? Yes. Now, if I'm getting in a couple days after the buy signal, that makes me a bit nervous, right? Because let's say it goes from on the heat map 55, and by the time I get to it, it's at 65. I'm not interested. I'm not interested. That move, it's already had a 10-point move on the heat map. That doesn't really bode very well for me. Might be closer to an exit signal than an entry signal. But let's do this. Let's do McDonald's here. So we know the market's the same, no change here on the sector. This is the discretionary sector. So the discretionary sector is getting more greedy. That's what we want to see. And the breadth of the discretionary sector is still bullish. Now, this wouldn't count for me, but that's my trading plan. Your trading plan can be different because it peaked and contracted a little bit. Now, when it goes over 75% and starts to contract, that's when Chris is no longer interested. However, hasn't had a bearish crossover yet, so that still looks good. So fear and greed and breadth both look great on the sector. Now let's go look at the stock itself. Green overlay means 10, 20, 50 trend templates pointing north. Hang on. Oh, hey, skinny buff guy, you had me concerned. I was like, wait, that's McDowell's. I've typed in the wrong thing. Okay, we're good. We're good. Okay, let's look at this. So we've got 10, 20, 50 with a buy signal. We've got the market. Well, let's look at the fear and greed. Peaked a couple weeks ago, actually, at 66, came down to 64, and is now, it's up slightly, 64.26 yet, or 64.26 yet Friday, 64.26 today. So it actually is moving up a little bit on the fear and greed. So that's everything except for the outlier blocks. Let's go look at the outlier blocks real quick. Yeah, I see that now. My bad. Okay, no outlier blocks on this. McDonald's is lit up. Everything on the outlier 9 is lit up for the slingshot right here. Just making money with the super chat. I really appreciate it, but I want you guys to know I never want you to send any super chats. I do this for you. And there's channels that I watch that they only talk to people who super chat. Now I'm not that channel. I'm here for all of you guys. But since you sent the super chat, let's take a look at this real quick. RGC bought at $14, sold 90% a week ago. What now? You're not gonna like my answer. You're not gonna like my answer. My answer is, what was your plan? What was your plan? We'll take a look at RGC. Did we not cover RGC? It's possible. We cover 2,600 stocks, but RGC is not one we cover. So here's what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna go over here into Trading View, RGC. Okay, so it must be this this one here. Holy moly, what a beautiful trade right here. So what? You bought at $14. Wow. And now it's at $350. Man, what a move that was. That's an outlier move right there, let me tell you. All right, so it sounds like you bought in. Oof. Hang on, we got to change scale on this bigly. Where are we at? Somewhere around here. Somewhere late April. Humongous move. Sold 90% a week ago. What now? So for me, I follow a trailing stop on the 10 EMA. So if it doesn't close below that point, as you can see right here, this is why you use a 10 EMA. When in this entire enormous giant move did it close below the 10 EMA? Tell me when. Didn't. It didn't. So this will allow you to stay in a move as it goes up. However, I see one giant concern right here, and it's one giant order block. It looks like it really may struggle to pass through this order block right here. Now, my exit rules, if I saw this order block develop and I was still sitting on it, this is an exit signal to me. And it most likely started today, if I had to guess, because it does take a few days to materialize. That would be an exit signal to me. So just making money. If you're still holding it, that would be one where I'm ready to take my profits. So I hope that you guys found this useful. Don't forget, head on over to OVTLYR.com, but only if you're ready to save time, make money, and start winning with less risk. And if that's what you're looking for, be sure you click one of these 2 videos. Have a fantastic day. We'll talk soon.
There's money to be made as long as you are smart. Know where you get it and where you get out. Read charts and follow your own plan. Don't listen to jokers, don't fall for scams. Cash for setups and read market charts. Go to cash is a trade, it's not just you or out. Check in with your key at the very start. No expectations on the trade, just execute. Going to cash is a trade, it's not just you or out. Check in with your key at the very start. No expectations on the trade, just execute.